Hello, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. Welcome, Blue Jackets fans and hockey fans alike. I am your captain speaking. Welcome to the podcast, and let's dive into some hockey content. Hello, hockey fans. Look. You finally get to see my ugly face. I apologize. It's been a very busy week. It's been a terrible week, if I'm being honest with you. I just want to share that with you. My glasses broke. The eye doctor said they couldn't be fixed. Guess what? For $3.97 for some super glue, it can be fixed. There's some other stuff that happened along the way. But hey, let's talk about what we're going to go over on the show today. First thing, Jumbo Joe, has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs a 1-year, $700,000 contract. After 15 seasons, he will no longer be a San Jose Shark. Then, 2020 strikes again. Doc Emrick has retired. It is awful. Some of the worst news you could hear of the year, if I'm being honest. Doc was just a legend and amazing. And then finally, just to wrap it up, we're going to talk about some other league news. The World Juniors. I mean, that's coming up here. Christmas for the first time since 2005. So with that being said, hockey fans, let's jump into that juicy hockey content. So Jumbo Joe, like we said before, has signed a 1-year, $700,000 contract with Toronto Maple Leafs, leaving San Jose for the first time in 15 years. Now, he did play with the Boston Bruins before playing with the San Jose Sharks, and we're going to talk about his numbers with the Boston Bruins and the San Jose Sharks so far. 636 games played. That's 9th all-time. He'll probably move up to 6th all-time by the end of this upcoming season, regardless of how short it is. It's within striking distance. 420 goals, don't laugh, 84th all-time. He's probably not going to go up too much higher on that list. I think at this point, his goal scorings, I'm not going to say all but disappeared, but that touch might not be there once, like it once was. This is the part that we got to talk about here. 1,089 assists. That's insane. Some people get 1,000 points in their career, and that's like a big deal, but he's got 1,000 assists on his career. That's 7th all-time. I don't think that'll go up much higher. It is a pretty big gap. 1,509 points, that's 14th all-time. He'll probably move to 12th. There is some room to grow there, but after that it kind of gets splotchy. 0.92 points per game. He's a 4-time All-Star, 1-time Hart winner, 1-time Ross winner. Now the things that I want to talk about here, he's had 3 100-point seasons, plus seasons. He had one in 2002, the 2003 season, those two together, 2002-2003, the 05-06 season, and then the season after that, the 06-07 season. So those 2 first years, the year and a half, I guess you could say, in San Jose, very good years. Then the next stats that I want to talk about, which is crazy, 2 90-plus assist seasons, 05-06, 06-07. If you can get, I think one season was 96 assists. If you're getting almost 100 points and all of them are coming off assists, that's crazy. He's one of the best passers in the game, and I think that it'll be hard to see somebody like him. He's just amazing, really special. 7 80-plus point seasons, 2 35-plus goal seasons, and one of those was the 2000-2001 season, and then the 2002-2003 season. So his better scoring days, I guess you could say, were with the Boston Bruins, but he still provided a lot of goals for the Sharks. 5 25-plus goal seasons, and 11 20-plus goal seasons. At the end of the day, we can look at Jumbo Joe, and we can say he had a very good career. We won't always say that he was able to score bunches of goals, but he would be able to provide enough offense of his own with his goal-scoring ability. Now let's look at his time in San Jose, the 2005-06 season, all the way to the 2019-20 seasons. It's 15 seasons. 1,104 games played, 2nd in Sharks history behind Patrick Marleau. 251 goals, 3rd in Sharks history behind Logan Couture. Sorry I had to cut that. We had some issues with the mic. Anyway, 804 assists, 1st in Sharks history. I don't see that being broken anytime soon. 1,055 points. That's 2nd in Sharks history behind Patrick Marleau. Now, this is what I want to talk about. 0.96 points per game. And that is 1st in Sharks history. He played 15 seasons and he almost averaged a point per game. And they had 13 playoff appearances in 15 seasons he was there. 87% of the time they were in the playoffs. That's super impressive. They never missed the playoffs back-to-back years. This team was consistently good, It always was in the thick of things when it came to making the playoffs. They had a 14-13 playoff series record. And so they're winning more series than they lost during their time with Jumbo Joe. Who knows, he could be back, you never know. They made the second round 9 times. They made it to the conference finals 4 times, and they did have that one Stanley Cup final appearance in 2016. The Sharks and Jumbo Joe himself, they played some great teams, and I think they probably could have won some cups in the 2010s. They ran into the Chicago Blackhawks at the beginning of their dynasty in 2010. They ran into the 2011 Vancouver Canucks, if I believe right. Yes. And the 2016 Pittsburgh Penguins coming off, that was going to be their first of their back-to-backs. And the 2019 St. Louis Blues Teams of Destiny. So, looking back at this, I kind of look at it as, maybe they wouldn't have won all of these, but I do think they definitely would have beat the Flyers in 2010. I just think they're a better team, and the Flyers had some goaltending issues. I think that the Sharks could have beat them for sure. So, looking back at it, I think that 2010 season was really one that we could look at and say what could have been for Joe and the Sharks. Because this is a super talented team for the past 15 years. I know that they did have a bad year this past season, but if they would have won a cup here, this is a team we can talk about and say they were consistently good and they did get the job done at least once. They never did. I don't think that it was Joe's fault or anything, but they were unable to win a cup in his time in San Jose, unless he comes back. You never know. And then I think that one thing we need to talk about here are Jumbo Joe's playoff numbers. 144 games played, 25 goals, 90 assists, 115 points, 0.8 points per game. He was a big-time playoff performer. Now, he didn't really score a lot, but he dished out the puck pretty well, and I think a good example of that is the 2015-16 playoff stats, and that was their run to the Stanley Cup Final against the Pittsburgh Penguins, their first and only Stanley Cup Final appearance. Joe had 24 games played, 3 goals, again, he's not scoring a lot of goals, 18 assists, 21 points, 0.88 points per game. Again, even though he's old, he's still performing. He had a pretty decent year this year, especially for his age. And then his 2019-20 stats, 70 games played, 7 goals, 24 assists, 31 points, 0.44 points per game, 15 minutes and 30 seconds time on ice, his average time on ice. At 40 years old, that's pretty impressive. If you can give me, 15 and a half, 16 minutes at 40 years old, you're going to be fine. Now, he left the Sharks after 15 years to join the Maple Leafs because, quote, he was ready to win now. I mean, if you look at the Sharks, I don't think they're ready to win now. Their goaltending especially is pretty bad. I'm a big Martin Jones fan. I think that his better days are done. Devin Dubnyk, big fan of him. His better days are done too. If you look at it, the Sharks are just probably in the middle of a rebuild. At the end of the day, there's nothing they could really do to keep him if it came to wanting to win a cup. So, let's look at the Maple Leafs the past 4 seasons. 2016-17 was finally the end of the rebuild. 95 points. They lost to Washington in 6 games in the first round. And that was a pretty good series. That was kind of considered the young kids fighting back and playing a really good Washington team. So that wasn't that big of a deal. 2017-18, I do think this is their best season that they've had over the past 4 years. And I think that if they would have been able to get past this team we're about to mention here in a second, that they probably could have done some serious things. So in 2017-18, they had 105 points. They lost to Boston in Game 7 in the first round. 2018-19, same story. This time they had 100 points on the year. They lost to Boston in 7 in the first round again. So they made the playoffs 3 years in a row. Now, Leafs fans get mad at me, say whatever, I don't know, say I'm stupid. You can get on your high horse and go on and on about it. But this year they didn't make the playoffs officially in my eyes. They made the qualifying round. You had to qualify by winning the round to make it to the first round of the playoffs. So 2019-20, they had 81 points. They lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets in 5. Yes, our Columbus Blue Jackets in the qualifying round. I watched that series. Great series. Loved it. Now, the Maple Leafs were on pace for 95 points. And, you can say that the qualifying round counts. But if you're a Leafs fan and you say for sure, oh, this is for real, a real playoff appearance, I think you're kidding yourself. And it looks ridiculous. If you want to say that this is the best they have, they're on pace for 95 points, I don't know. I just think that it's a little ridiculous that this talented of a roster was on pace for 95 points this year. So, If you hate it, make sure to leave me some comments about why I'm wrong. But, a real fan is going to understand that this is kind of embarrassing. And the Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff round since 2004. They won in the first round against Ottawa 4-2. Now, they have made some additions this year. They got Rodion Amirov. He was a 2021 first-round draft pick, 15th overall pick. He's not going to play for a few years, so that's not a major addition. They got TJ Brodie. I'm excited to see how TJ Brodie plays. Obviously, they lost Tyson Barrie and Kasperi Kapanen to the trade in Pittsburgh, and then Tyson Barrie left to sign with Edmonton. So I'm really excited to see how Brodie plays. He had a bit of a down year offensively. I'm excited to see how he'll replace Tyson Barrie, who's typically an offensive defenseman, but honestly the blue line needs some help. I think overall I'm excited to watch the Maple Leafs. I think they'll be a grittier team, per se, but they don't have the excuse of saying that they don't have gritty players on the roster anymore. One player I am excited to watch is Rasmus Sandin. I think he'll get a chance to step up this year, and I'm curious to see how that goes. The blue line has been an issue for years now, and I think Sandin has an opportunity to get some extra minutes, and I think that he'll be able to, either sink or swim this year, so we'll see how it goes. I will say, overall, if they get knocked out early again, they are not going to let this team stick together anymore. I look at it like this. You've got the Big Four. Everybody talks about the Big Four in Toronto. You've got Austin Matthews. There's no way he gets traded. You've got Tavares. His contract is immovable. I think that it's not being able to be shipped out of Toronto just due to his age. You have Mitch Marner, 5 years remaining at $10.8 million per year. With the flat cap, that's going to hurt. And William Nylander, 4 years remaining, $6.96 million per year. So if you look at it, if there's another first-round exit, maybe even an embarrassing second-round exit, if Nylander, or if they lose in the first or second round, Nylander or Marner are probably going to be moved. And I think this is something that really has to be done so that way the frat boys with Matthews, Marner, and Nylander kind of realize that you don't get to party in the six all the time, and you don't get to just take everything easy. I kind of look at it as, I don't know which one would go, and I don't know if teams would take Marner with his heavier cap hit, but at this point, if you're not producing results, I think that Toronto fans should be able to freak out and go off on everybody. Freddie Anderson is a unrestricted free agency, is a UFA at the end of this season, so that's going to be interesting as well. He's been the goaltender for this will be his 5th season, so I think it'll be pretty interesting to see how that goes. Matthews has been a big fan of Freddie Anderson as well. They even stay together during quarantine. I don't know. I don't think Freddie Anderson's a problem in Toronto, to be honest. I think it's a blue line. I'm not going to say it's the Big Four too. Get mad, say all you want, but they're getting paid a lot of money to not get the results that are going on here. Again, that's not all on them, but they're partially to blame. And overall, I just think that 2020 is going to be a dramatically fun season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think that this team is going to be sink or swim. They added They added some grit with Wayne Simmons and, Thornton. They got some other guys. There's no more excuses as to say, oh, we're not a feisty team, we don't have some gritty players. You've got the scoring ability, you've got the goaltending, you've got the gritty players. I'm interested to see how the blue line does this year. Who knows how it'll do. Either way, this is a huge sink or swim season for me when I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they've got storylines for days. I know I complain about how much Toronto's get the coverage nationally in America as well as Canada. But this year, I think that they should totally be one of the top broadcasted teams like they always are. There are so many storylines here, and I'm so excited to cover that. But with that being said, now we're going to move on into the next topic, and that is Doc Emrick and him retiring at the age of 74. Alright, so 2020 strikes again. It's been terrible. It's been awful. And we lose Doc Emrick, and he is retired at the age of 74. 74 is old, but it's not what it used to be. So, I don't know. It's kind of sad and unexpected, but Doc is retiring after 47 years as being a broadcaster. He's been a broadcaster since 1973, and I mean, his accolades are amazing. Let's just go over them here. 3,750 games covered plus. More than that. He's not exactly sure, but he knows it's over that. 22 Stanley Cup Finals covered, 7 straight from 2014 to 2020, really when I got back into hockey. 21 seasons as the Devils play-by-play announcer. 8-time Sports Emmy Awards winner, 7 straight from 2014 to 2020. Basically, that just means he was the best broadcaster in sports. Great awards. Multiple outdoor stadium series games. And he was at the first one ever in 2008. Literally, Doc has just been a game changer in this game. I think we all know that this is a legacy that can never be touched, and I think that we all know that he's probably the peak of what we would expect to get out of an announcer and a broadcaster. So, the last 15 years, he has spent working with NBC, and I think the problem for me is, without Doc, NBC will never be the same again just because you get that sound. Doc is just, he's a legend, a living legend. The main thing I wanted to talk about here is, who's going to be the broadcasting partner for Eddie Olczyk? Doc and Eddie have worked together for 14 years together on air, and I don't think that I hate Eddie Olczyk as a broadcaster. I'm not going to say that, oh, he's one of my favorites. I do like him working with Doc. At the end of the day, it's just like, I don't want to watch somebody that I watched my whole life broadcast with somebody else after they're replacing an icon that's probably one of my favorite broadcasters of all time. So, I don't know. We'll see. They haven't announced anything as far as I know. Eddie was sad about it, as you would expect. I actually kind of predicted this would be his last season. Sorry, my glasses keep slipping because they broke because it was a bad week. I expected that this would be Doc Emrick's last year. I don't know when he was broadcasting. I'm not going to try to make anything up, but it seems like maybe, I don't want to say something was slipping, but it's like, I don't know if his heart was in it as much. He said that he was ready for new things in life. Who knows? I don't know. I kind of just expected that to be his last year, so I did enjoy that Stanley Cup Finals run. But I think that really what comes down to the reason that it bothers me so much is Doc is the voice that got me into hockey. And I think it's like when you lose something that's been such a big part of your life, you want to be able to always, I guess, have a way to cope with it. But the problem is nobody's voice sounds like Doc Emrick's voice. His voice is iconic. His sayings are iconic. The words that he uses, and I mean, I've broadcasted live games before, and you know, when you start out, they give you, or you can look up books that'll give you words you can use for different phrases, like a goal or anything like that. And, you know, some of the catchphrases he would come up with were his own unique things, and just the way he delivered them were perfect. I think Doc is going to motivate me to hopefully be able to do this for a living to where I can talk about hockey for a living. But, you know, here's to 47 years on air. Congratulations, Doc. You really deserved it. So thank you, Doc Emrick. I doubt you'll ever see this. It'd be really cool if you did. I hope I get to meet you one day. With that being said, we are going to jump into some other league news. Some other league news that we'd like to touch up on today is that the Blackhawks have stated that they're going to be entering a rebuild. They're saying they're focusing on the future right now. Essentially, they're saying that they're doing a rebuild. The cat's finally out of the bag. This has been the worst kept secret in hockey, I think, for a while now. I don't think that it's been a rebuild per se, but it's not like they've been a contending team. The only problem that I'd say is that a lot of their big name guys have no movement clauses on their contracts, and they go for a while. Taves, Kane, Keith, Seabrook all have no movement contract or clauses in their contract. Taves, Kane, and Keith, I couldn't see them moving that to leave Chicago. Seabrook, I think they could maybe make a little wiggle room happen to see if they could grease the wheels to make that happen. But Taves and Kane especially, there is no way they're leaving Chicago. They're not going to waive those clauses. And what I'm worried about is that they're going to not be able to re-sign with the team in a few years, and then it's going to be really awkward, but we'll see. The past 3 seasons for the Blackhawks have been interesting. They haven't been awful, but they definitely haven't been great. 2017-18, 76 points. 2018-19, 84 points, and then this past season, 2019-20, this past season, as I just stated, 72 points. They're on pace for 84 points. The problem with the Blackhawks are they aren't a team stuck in the middle in the right reasons. When you think of a team that's stuck in the middle, you think of a team that's making the playoffs. The problem is they're not making the playoffs, except for this year, but they wouldn't have normally. They're not making the playoffs, but they're not a bottom feeder. If you get 84 points, you're not going to be a bottom feeder in the league. So I think the biggest issue I have for them is if you're not at least making the playoffs, which I think if you're not really contending or making a push, you should rebuild or at least retool. I think one thing I will say is I'm very excited to see how Dominik Kubalik, Alex DeBrincat, and Kirby Dach play next year. One thing I will say is their goaltending is probably going to be pretty bad. Nothing against Malcolm Subban, but I think it could be an issue. Sorry I had to cut because my microphone's an issue today, and this room that we're filming in is too small, and my university apartment stinks. Anyway, Doug Wilson, the GM of the San Jose Sharks, has stated that it's time for the younger Shark players to, quote, step up. And his comments statement was directed at Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier, and Kevin Labanc. Here's my breakdown of that. Hertl is 26. If it goes poorly this year, then I think 2018-19 is going to be an anomaly. He had like 35 goals that year. I think that's done for. Timo Meier, 24. That's his age. Okay, so that's what we're saying when we talk about the numbers. He's 24. I think he'll rebound and have a 30-goal, 65-point season, but I think that's about all she's going to write for that. And then Kevin Labanc, I don't know why Doug Wilson saying he needs to step up and perform. He was a 6th-round draft pick. I think that Labanc's 24, by the way. I hope Doug Wilson's not expecting more than 50 to 60 points out of Labanc. I'm really expecting 50 to 60 per season, per se. But if he's expecting more than that, that is insane. I think the problem is he has a little bit more faith in this core than I do. I do think these are some good players, but if you're expecting, 80-point seasons out of Labanc, if you're expecting 80-point seasons out of Meier, 35, 40-plus goal seasons out of these guys, you're insane. But the problem is, especially Hertl, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to provide at the table. He's had one great year, and I think that's really what's caused people to buy into what he's saying. Now, moving on from this, sorry, this has been my first time doing it. It's been a bad week. I apologize. We will be better prepared and better suited next time, hopefully. I'll be better prepared. This is all my fault, basically. Anyway, sorry if I look tired. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night. Whatever. But the World Juniors will begin on Christmas Day for the first time since 2005. Somebody's doing an obscene act behind the camera, actually, so it's hard not to focus. Or it's hard to focus. You get the gist. The World Juniors will begin on Christmas Day for the first time since 2005. On top of that, it'll be held from December 25th to January 5th, and the games will be played at Rogers Place. I'll be rooting for the U.S., of course, from here, and then Germany, that's where my family's from. I'm not going to say that I'm a big guy in the World Juniors, but I'm going to try to get into it more this year. The first games are Christmas Day. There's no way my wife and my family's going to allow me to watch games on Christmas, so I won't get to watch those, so I can't provide you with great information on that. But it is kind of cool. We get hockey on Christmas Day. I don't get hockey on Christmas Day because I'm not lucky. Maybe I'll sneak it on my phone. When everybody's getting food, I'll just be in the other room. I'll get my phone out and just, like that. Or say I gotta go to the bathroom for 15 minutes because my food is not settling well. Next thing you know, boom, headphones in, boom. Big brain time. But anyway, yeah, the World Juniors, like I said, will be held on Christmas. Another obscene act behind the camera. Anyway, everybody have a great week. I apologize. This video, the next week, will get better. We've had some issues. Battery was dying. Daylight has been scarce around here. It's rained the past 5 days. It's been super cloudy, so we're having trouble getting good natural lighting. Anyway, everybody have a great week and stay safe from COVID. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes, and hockey fans in general. This is your captain signing off. Have a great week.